Beads are among the most interesting symbols in Yoruba African culture. The colors and sizes, the significance of the materials chosen for the waist are subjective. The person making the waist beads symbolize their perception, experience, feelings, beliefs, desires, and influence. Traditionally, unmarried women of the Yoruba tribe wear an elike, also known as waist beads or waist chains. Waist beads are romantic, fashionable, and attract attention to the waist by making the waist appear slimmer and bringing out the curves of the hips. Waist beads were and still are worn for seduction. For some, the beads possess intimate appeal and can provoke desire in men. Weight management and waist beads. Some women use waist beads to watch their weight. Check out our African food recipes, as in when it is tight on them they will know that they are gaining weight. Unlike clothing, the strings do not stretch, they break or roll up the waist with increased girth. So in an absence of scales as a means of weight measurement, tight waist beads indicate weight gain. Modern-day America and Britain has modified the use of waist beads, growing an entire industry around tying a string around your waist in order to get killer abs. Sculpting your waistline by using waist beads coupled with regular exercise will help your stomach muscles work harder, so it is believed graduating from a larger string of waist beads to a smaller string are seen as a badge of honor. Using waist beads is designed to remind you to suck your stomach in, contracting your muscles, then breathing out slightly. Repeating this step throughout the day is known as vacuum exercises. Bone waist beads. By tradition, waist beads were made of natural materials such as bone beads, shells, stone, or clay beads. However, modern times have seen waist beads produced from synthetic materials like glass and plastic. Bone was one of the first things used in Africa for decoration before the discovery of precious gems and metals. Most contemporary bone beads are made from the neck and backbones of birds and fish or cut into fine shapes using cow, sheep, and goat or camel bones along with antlers, ivory, and teeth. Using the sharp edge of a stone, early African ancestors carved bone into a variety of shapes for jewelry beads. Each bone bead had a story or meaning behind the design, and depending on the material used, the waist beads are a sign of peace, regrowth, and tranquility of life and purity. Bone jewelry is still used in Africa today, crafted by artisans and painted with lacquer for the piece to last a lifetime. However, before bone can be carved into a waist bead, it first must be processed. Processing raw bone is a simple process if you are using small bones such as bird, fish, or even snake vertebrae. The first step to processing raw bones is to clean with soapy water and scrub with a stiff brush after all of the meat, gristle, and ligaments have been removed. The bones are boiled in an acid bath until the marrow is extracted and you are left with dry, non-greasy bones. After this step is completed, the bones are rinsed thoroughly and dried in the sun for days. Modern processing bones uses chemicals which makes the bones last longer and the process less grisly. If you are using ancient bone processing techniques or modern bone processing techniques, in the end the bones are carved into the shapes for beads that are strung together and used by women in southwest Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and the Yoruba tribes as waist beads. Clay waist beads. Clay is found all over Africa, and the making of clay beads from the soil of the African continent is common in ancient times and modern times in Africa. Gathering the right type of soil to make clay beads is an important first step. African people who have made clay beads for generations are able to recognize good clay for the bead making process. Another good type of clay to use is clay from termite hills, as the glue from the saliva of termites makes the clay quite strong and helps with the binding of the clay to form beads. Clay is worked by hand, shaped and fashioned into the desired shape freehand by pinching, coiling, and rolling the clay into small waist beads. After drying, the beads are placed outside around a pile of wood and carefully baked outside around the fire for many hours. This is a kiln in its most natural state. Clay is made by mixing dry clay with water in clay mixer. Clay straight from the ground in Africa is not like the clay you buy from a ceramic clay store or hobby supplier. It contains unwanted materials such as rocks and twigs and needs to be processed to remove before working into clay beads. A screening removes stones, roots, and other larger particles. Before firing, the beads are decorated by impressing or carving of the bead. Sometimes the design is religious or sometimes just decorative. Waist beads are intimate private jewelry. It is considered distasteful when waist beads are shown in public. In many cultures, the waist beads symbolized a young woman's purity and were only to be taken off by her husband on their wedding night. Most waist beads are worn under clothing and are a private affair. Unlike today's purity rings, waist beads are not shown in public. Purity rings are the exact opposite when it comes to modesty than waist beads. Purity rings are a sign to the community as a commitment to purity, a promise to stay sexually pure until marriage. Waist beads in African culture have a conservative meaning. When you are wearing waist beads and they show, you might get a funny look from someone because the showing of waist beads is not acceptable. Many people in modern-day Africa may not have the same feelings as their ancient ancestors when it comes to modesty and waist beads. Waist beads are seen as more of a decoration than a statement about intimacy and privacy.